Small towns and rural communities are opening up and looking for creative ways to tackle common challenges like housing, transportation, and access to broadband. A recent survey by SaveYour.Town found that the top 5 concerns in small towns and rural communities focused on housing. 58% feel there's just not enough good housing, while 54% think that their downtown is dead. Nearly half are concerned about losing young people, and 44% want new residents, while 43% feel there are not enough volunteers in their community.
Good evening and welcome to this month's edition of Rural America Live with AARP. I'm Christina Loren, and we also welcome our listeners joining us tonight on Rural Radio, Sirius XM Channel 147. Tonight we're talking about what makes small towns across America great and what can be done to make them even better. Our special guest is Becky McCrae, a leader in helping to identify and tackle some of the challenges facing small American communities. And she's brought lots of creative solutions to share with you. And you are a very important part of our show tonight, a big part of our conversation. We want to hear from you. Give us a call at 877-283-7570. Our phone lines are open now. And our question of the month is, what do you want from your community? And we have 2 great giveaways for you tonight. 5 lucky on-air callers will win a Yeti cooler. If you are caller number 1, 3, 6, 9, or 11, you will be a winner. And you will also receive an autographed copy of the Oak Ridge Boys' brand new vinyl album titled Front Porch Swingin'. It's a twofer tonight, so give us a call at 877-283-7570. And a friendly reminder, you don't need to be a member of AARP or over the age of 50 to win, but you can only win one time each calendar year. Now, if you are a winner tonight, AARP will call you back on the number that you called from. It won't be tonight, but they will give you a call in the next few days to confirm your mailing address. If you're a past winner and you have not received your cooler just yet, don't worry. Be sure to return their call, though, when they do reach out to you. The pandemic has delayed shipping a little bit, but you will get your cooler in due time if you are a winner. Good luck to you all tonight. Joining us tonight, Sean Voskuhl, Director of AARP Oklahoma, and our special guest, Becky McCrae, the co-founder of SaveYour.Town. We welcome both of you. Sean, let's get right into this conversation. What do you love about the area that you grew up in most?
Well, growing up as a farm kid and going to a small school, we didn't have a stoplight in our community, but that work ethic and being able to work on the farm and it was always a lasting impression it's made on my life. And you can always take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy. And so that has resonated with me. Obviously, they call me the Blake Shelton of AARP. So those real roots are extremely important to me. And in fact, I get back to the family farm as much as I can to keep my sanity.
The Blake Shelton of AARP is with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And Becky, you have rural roots. Tell us a little bit about your cattle operation.
Absolutely. My husband and I have a relatively small cattle operation in Woods County in northwest Oklahoma. And the population of Woods County is approximately 8 times as many cows as people. So we're doing our part.
Excellent. You know, tell us about how you and your partner, Deb Brown, got started on this journey to save small towns and some of the ways that you help communities realize what they have and how to keep it vibrant.
Of course. Well, Deb and I are both from small towns. Deb is from a small town in Iowa that is under 200 people. I am in Hopeton, Oklahoma, population 30 people. So we are both from small towns. We both live in small towns now, and we love small towns. So we each saw people that were doing great things, building their communities. And what we decided was we wanted to get together and help share some practical steps people could put into action right away to shape a better future for their communities. Because we know. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just love what you're doing so much. And it's out of the box thinking. I just really appreciate it because so often in rural America, people feel like there's got to be something more than this small town way of life, almost a sense that my small town is what it is. Is there anything that people can do to make themselves and the other residents in their town open to more new ideas, just like you and Deb put forth every day?
One of the secrets is that 99% of the best things you can do for your community don't require anyone else's permission. So the little things that you can do actually make the biggest difference. So start with you, test your ideas, take small steps, really little things, build connections to find the things that you need, and then put your ideas out there to gather people to you, gather your crowd, and altogether that's idea friendly.
You know, I think, Deb, one of the things, Becky, that I really am concerned about is how do we combat that train of thought that suggests there's just nothing to do in my town? There's just nothing to do. I feel like in order to have any fun recreationally, I've got to go to the city. How do we change that way of thinking?
It all involves building better connections within our communities so that we're more aware of the amazing things that are going on. Especially if you grew up in a town, it becomes very easy to kind of take for granted that the patterns that you're in are the dominant patterns. Meanwhile, people move to your town every year and start new things that you don't even know about. And so it's about getting out there, being open to hearing about them, and asking a lot of questions and listening when people answer you.
Absolutely. You know, we host a show here on RFD-TV called Rural Health Matters. And I know one of the challenges is getting doctors and young people to want to come back to the hometowns where they grew up to practice medicine because it's so important. How can we do a better job of rebuilding our local economies? What strategies do you and Deb talk about that help to create rural jobs?
Absolutely. We actually have a set of things we call the rural jobs creation strategies so that it will sound important when the economic developers hear about it. But it's really about putting entrepreneurs together with other entrepreneurs and potential entrepreneurs so they can support each other, because oftentimes our small towns don't have as many formal resources to sort of support our entrepreneurs as they're working on their ideas. It's best to use the informal networks that we already have. So to create the events and the places where people can get together, build those connections, and support each other.
I'm so excited. And you know what's great about you and your history is that you've actually been boots on the ground, going to small towns all across the country, which has given you an opportunity to hear directly from the residents who live in these small towns on what we can do to improve them. Now, Sean, let's bring you back into the conversation. We know that keeping communities vibrant and desirable is a concern for AARP, because many older Americans, they want to remain in their homes, in their hometown. What do you see as some of the roadblocks there?
Well, it's really important. We know the demographics of an aging population, and 25% of folks 65 and older live in rural areas. So, you know, those are some challenges, and we need to make sure those communities are adaptable to help older residents stay there in their communities where they want to be. So AARP's been keeping track of how small towns and remote communities are working to make better places for all older Americans of all ages. So what we have is AARP Rural Livability Report, and that really kind of describes what we have found and how the rural communities is a great place for several reasons. And so I think we've got some graphics to kind of show some of the things that we've found out through our report. You know, nature is a big one. You know, I'm surrounded by nature, trees, flowers, wildlife, bright stars at night. And so I think that's really important. And a lot of people probably like to have that, like to be able to have their own space. And that's really important as well. People having neighbors and people that'll help with, many times our rural neighbors are as my grandma used to say, they're worth more than a milk cow. And so having a good neighbor is really important. And traffic, who likes to sit in traffic? And that's a very appealing part as well. But the main street, many times those small communities have a main street with town centers, and those hopefully are kind of getting a little bit of a comeback, and people are investing more and moving away from the mall structure. So there are a lot of great attributes smaller communities and towns have that, and I think the pandemic highlighted as well. People, if they have good internet access, high-speed internet access, more people are finding rural areas a really desirable place to be. We need to make sure they're desirable, and folks who are aging, it's a place where they can age where they want to be.
Yeah, I think after the pandemic, you bring up a really good point. A lot of people in the cities are thinking, country road, take me home, but only if there's good broadband, which is something that we're going to dive into a little bit deeper going forward. We want you to join our conversation tonight. Give us a call on the number on your screen. And if you do, we have 5 Yeti coolers to give away and the new Oak Ridge Boys album called Front Porch Swingin'. It's going to go along with those coolers. It's vinyl, and they all signed it. On-air callers tonight, number 1, 3, 6, and 9, as well as 11 will be winners. That could be you. Good luck. We're going to pause for a quick break, but our phone lines are open. 877-283-7570. We want to hear from you tonight. What makes your town special? Or what's on the wish list for your town? Maybe it's a movie theater or a hospital. Give us an idea of what's important to you, and maybe your idea will spark the attention of others and move them into action. 877-283-7570. More Rural America Live with AARP right after this.
Imposter scams take on many faces, including those of utility workers. Here are some red flags that a utility scam is in the works. It's a red flag if a person unexpectedly shows up posing as a utility worker and offers to do a free energy audit or inspect equipment. It's a red flag if you get a call or email saying you've overpaid your utility bill and your banking or credit card information is needed so you can be sent a refund. And it's also a red flag if someone tries to convince you the lights will go out and the water will be turned off because of an unpaid bill and pressures you to immediately wire money or purchase a gift card to pay your account. If you encounter any of these situations, call or email your utility company and let them know a scammer is making the rounds pretending to be an employee. For more tips on avoiding imposter scams, go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. Here to take your calls tonight, we have Sean Voskuhl, the director for AARP Oklahoma, and joining us, our special guest, Becky McCrae, the co-founder of SaveYour.town. Now, you are also a very important part of our show. Give us a call at 877-283-7570. Maybe you have an idea on how you can make your small town better, or you just want to let us know what makes your small town thrive. Join our conversation tonight, and if you do, you might just be a winner. We are giving away 5 Yeti coolers to on-air callers, number 1, 3, 6, 9, and 11. That could be you, and that's not all. Along with that Yeti cooler, you'll receive an autographed copy of the Oak Ridge Boys' brand new album, Front Porch Swingin'. Give us a call at 877-283-7570. We are going to go straight to the phones. First up tonight, Ken from North Carolina, and you, sir, are a winner. Thanks for joining the conversation. Congratulations, and go right ahead.
Hey, thank you so much. Before the commercial, I saw where you were talking about the internet, and one thing is, where I'm at, it's in Lincoln County, North Carolina, is we have Ethernet. A company came through and started running buried line cable, and I think that's a big game changer. What we have going here, because you really can't have agriculture without internet services. So one of my big things is there any programs set up to help the older population kind of understand internet and different kind of services that are available to them to kind of help them get connected or, entice them to move to an area?
Becky, go right ahead. What do you think?
Absolutely. I know that in North Carolina, your community colleges have a lot of really interesting programs around business and using the internet. And so I would not be surprised to hear that they also have something specifically for seniors and older folks. Now, I will also be really surprised if I hear that AARP doesn't have a program like that somewhere amongst your state programs, because there's a lot of really cool things going on with AARP, especially around rural livability. And I have to say, I'm also very excited about the idea of fiber internet going into rural places, because in my town of 30 people, they just recently pulled fiber throughout our whole town, which is it was not that far, but it's through the whole town. And so I cannot wait until they actually come around and start hooking us up so we can start taking advantage of much faster speeds.
Absolutely. And with the new rural infrastructure that we're all counting on, the new bill that's coming out, I know that there's a lot of high hopes for improved internet speeds across the country. And definitely it's enticing, I think, for a lot of people after the pandemic to enjoy that beautiful stargazing opportunity where you're away from the light pollution. There's so many benefits to living in a small town, and that's what we're talking about tonight. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. William from Oregon joins the conversation now. Thanks for joining us, William. Go right ahead.
Hi. Yeah, I was wanting to say I really appreciate our local law enforcement. They are phenomenal. They know the locals know them, and they know who doesn't belong here. And, and they know the ornery ones too. The ornery ones think they're getting away with stuff, but they're not. They know them. I have a scanner on, and it's amazing how they know who's up to what, and they sure know who doesn't belong. And they're very good. And I'm so thankful for our local law enforcement. I cannot say enough good about them.
Becky, is that something that you hear a lot about when you go out and talk to people in these smaller communities, how much they value their local law enforcement?
It is, and it's all about relationships. People really value the other members of their community who take their safety and their community seriously. So we hear a lot about our first responders as well, that people are extremely appreciative of our first responders and firefighters who in rural America tend to be volunteers or only nominally paid. So those folks actually play a super important role in our communities. We also hear about people taking on leadership roles that are also volunteers or only nominally paid, who do terrific work, that are the people who are stepping up and putting themselves behind the needs of the community. So this is definitely a theme we hear.
Absolutely. It can be hard, though, because oftentimes if there's an accident, say you have a tractor that hits a car in a small town, the volunteer that's showing up often knows exactly who that person is, and it's hard to show up on the scene. But you also have that vested interest of taking care of your community because you know and love your neighbors. I know Sean knows what I'm talking about. Volunteers are so important in the state of Oklahoma.
There's no question about it, and it's so important that we connect people to volunteering opportunities, and we try that really hard with AARP. And so, as my grandma said, a good neighbor's worth more than a milk cow.
We know that more people would be willing to live in rural America and work remotely if they could, but we were talking about the lack of high-speed internet access. It can be a deterrent. Sean, tell us more about the important program that the federal government has created to help people who are struggling with limited access to broadband. Expand on that, if you will.
You bet. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it's a new program that started in May. It's approved by the federal government. It's $3.2 billion. It's first come, first served. So it's to help anybody anywhere in the country who needs help paying for internet or broadband services. And I believe there's some more information that's available if you go to aarp.org/EBB. But it's a new federally funded program, and it helps households who are struggling to pay for internet services. And we all know how that's a deterrent, and the high cost of internet is really difficult for families that are struggling. The good part is the program will help offset those costs by $50 a month. And if you live on a tribal land, that would be $75 per month. There also is a $100 offset if you need some help buying a laptop or computer. While that may not seem a bunch, I think anything helps. So again, the money is available while it lasts. So I encourage people to go to aarp.org/EBB to get more information. And again, it's a program you have to qualify depending on your income. So we know internet and high-speed internet is integral. I saw a quote from someone earlier today. It's as vital as water. That sounds very dramatic, but again, I think we understand that high-speed internet is really connection for folks, connecting with their families, their job. It's just a way of life that's so important, and telehealth services.
Oh, we definitely learned that over the past year and a half or so. And with precision agriculture as well, it's a necessity.
Definitely.
Jenny from Arkansas joins the conversation, and she is a winner. Congratulations to you. You get a twofer tonight, the Yeti Cooler and the Oak Bridge Boys album that they signed, by the way. Go right ahead with your question, Jenny. Okay.
Hello?
Hey, Jenny, go right ahead with your question. Could be a rural broadband issue. She was trying to use her internet to make that call. All right, well, you know what? We got Chuck in Texas joining the conversation now. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being there, Chuck. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I really don't have a question. And y'all had some percentages and stuff on earlier about small towns and why small towns were, having troubles. And one of the things I was telling the gentleman a while ago that I was visiting with is that I was on a co-op board for 28 years, and one thing we noticed with the small towns and what changed them was the leaders. Most of them didn't have good leaders. They had a lot of nice people, but not leaders that really stepped out there and knew what to do. And the main thing, too, that changed small towns was when you had the highways going through these small towns, and they left the downtown area, and they went out and looped these towns. And so, therefore, then anything downtown felt like, whether it was a bank or a business, that they had to move out to these loops and to compete, because then you had the big stores coming in, the Lowe's and the Walmarts and those type folks, and they were on the loops, and then all the restaurants that came in. I know I'm giving a little free advertising here to somebody, but anyway, that changed downtowns, and we saw it. We represented 14 counties where we sold electricity to in the state of Texas, and most of those small towns all throughout that area, that's what happened to them. And you could just follow one right after the other. The one that I was born and raised in had a fantastic downtown. And I remember when I was a kid in high school, I worked on the loop. And you could see already then the change of these businesses and that move out. And so that was the only thing I just was going to add to this conversation, was that, you would see that change.
We've seen these. Sorry to stomp on you there, Sean. We have seen these changes in lots of communities all across the country here in the US, as well as in Canada, some very similar challenges. And people have told us that running into the attitudes of leaders has been like the biggest hidden challenge within rural communities, because the same that our people are our biggest asset, they can also be our biggest brick wall as we're trying to adopt new ideas. And that brings us back to what we talked about a little earlier, that you have to be the one to start it. You have to be open to your own new ideas. You have to be encouraging when others bring new ideas to you. And one of the most difficult things for all of us is that when we hear someone else's new idea, it's up to us, even if we think it's not a great idea, it's up to us to say, you should go ahead and try that. Why don't you run a really small test to see how it goes? Because everything is constantly in motion, and we've all seen over the past year how quickly things can change. So even though we think an idea will fail, we don't know what will happen next. There's no way to predict what's coming next. So we can't predict which ideas are going to succeed. It's up to each one of us to play that role in our communities, to be the number one cheerleader for small trials, small tests, and experiments, even if we don't know for sure the idea will work.
And Sean, did you want to add to that?
Well, and I think it's what's real important that, we saw the change with the interstate system and that how that kind of crushed a lot of communities. And in Oklahoma, Route 66 was a big example of how the interstate system moved away, and a lot of those rural communities really struggled. But there is hope, and there's ways to highlight the old Route 66 in Oklahoma. There's many communities also have a Main Street program. If your community is not doing that in your state, that could be a great resource to help your communities kind of kickstart some ideas and get things going. And so while the transportation is so important, there are some ways to bring people back to your community. And I think a Main Street program could be extremely an option that may be helpful. And a Team Build Better block are volunteers that also can help you in your community to help refurbish, bring some pop-up shops or other types of small-time businesses that will help your community to maybe clean it up, make it look better and more attractive for visitors, and helping push your priorities for your community.
Yeah, there's nothing like visiting a quaint rural Main Street. I just love all the mom and pop shops that you'll find. Martin from Maine joins the conversation. Thanks for joining us, Martin. Go right ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I live in a small town, of course, and the state built a new bridge and bypassed the whole town. All the stores that was there are gone. The state has regulations when you want to start a business. You got to jump through. And the finances people just don't want anything to do with it anymore. About it right now.
Okay, I'd love to dive into this question a little more, Martin, because in every community we face all different barriers. In fact, when we ran our survey of rural challenges, people told us about over 30 different challenges that they were running into in their communities, and many of them multiple challenges, just like you mentioned there in Maine. So what we always bring people back to is we can't change everything to get started. So we have to start where we are and move forward from here by taking small steps. One idea that works in almost any community, no matter how small you are, and no matter how many barriers you're up against, is to take any one of those empty buildings in your downtown and divide it up. Make it available in little tiny spaces for people to start itty-bitty businesses. Because thinking about the barriers to starting a business in a community right now, part of it is simply the sheer size of what you have to do to get going. So if you could just take small steps towards getting in business, if you only had to fill a 10-foot booth, so many more people would be able to try an idea and see if it would work in today's environment. And that way you would have more tries, more opportunities to discover the most promising ideas for the future of your community.
Great. You know, I want to give everybody the number 877-283-7570. What do you love about the small town that you live in, or what would you like to see improved? Maybe there's a local hero that deserves a shout out tonight, a teacher, someone who works in law enforcement, a librarian, someone who changed your life in your small town. Tell us what makes your small town great, or where we could see improvements. And Sean, talk about the Community Grant Challenge. You talk about improvements. There is some funding available for this sort of thing.
Yeah, well, we're very excited, ARP, to complete our third year of the Community Grant Challenge. And so ARP is providing small grants to fund quick action projects that can help communities become more livable for people of all ages. So I know we have rolling a little bit of tape for Fort Worth, Texas. I know you're not thinking that's a small town, but trust me, there are a lot of small communities and rural communities getting funded through these small community grants. And we've funded for 3 years, so many of them, hundreds across the country. So if we want to catch this great story in Fort Worth, let's take a look and listen.
My name's David Dodson, and I'm a firefighter. This neighborhood is called Linwood. Linwood is a mix of young professionals and empty nesters that both want to enjoy a lifestyle that this kind of neighborhood has to offer, and being close to Fort Worth and all things that are fun around here.
The biggest challenge for Linwood revolved around the street itself and doing traffic calming measures that weren't in place, that probably should have already been in place. Let's go put some crosswalks in, let's put stop bars, and then let's get the city to install stop signs, which they did. The lighting was one of the biggest pieces that the community wanted to see, not only within the park, but just generally within the neighborhood.
Welcome everybody to the Linwood Neighborhood Better Block Project. What do y'all think about the crosswalks?
I was born and raised here, and I am so glad and so thankful that this event is happening, because we've been trying to get the city to come out here and help us with traffic and parking on our 30-foot wide streets. Even though it's very tiring to do, and especially at our age, to get on our knees and paint, we're calming the streets. People are noticing.
This park is important to us because we all come through here to buy groceries and stuff. And I'm happy. Got good friends, new friends, old friends are moving back. Safer here.
Today's event is just a celebration of the work that we've done this week. Team Better Block, AARP, everyone working together. And it's great because it's all volunteers.
Make that happen. Yeah, we have to put that together.
I see a lot of great things happening, and I'm so excited. And I'm hoping that we'll be an example for the rest of the communities, or city, or state.
I love seeing everybody pulling together and trying to revitalize a community, because, you know, when you talk about AARP, so many of us, we want to age in place. We want to be able to stay where we're comfortable. So to see a lot of young people coming out and pitching in is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay, we have more callers on the line. We're going to go to Vermont to speak with Linda. Thanks for joining us, Linda. Go right ahead. All right, we might be having a little trouble getting Linda on the line. That brings us to Arizona, hot state. Elaine, thanks for joining us. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Hi. Do you have a question, or did you want to let us know what makes your small town great?
I have a comment about my small town, and it is small, about 3,500 population. We have a community food pantry, which has a food distribution every Wednesday, and I volunteer to help with that. It's entirely handled by volunteers. The food is donated, some from local people. We get money donations at times, and most of our food comes in from the national group called Feeding America. And I'm very glad to be a part of it. I feel like we serve a lot of people in our area.
That is such a terrific program, and it really relates to how involved everyone got last year, especially when people planted a lot of gardens to help feed their own communities. I know in the nearby big town of Alva, Oklahoma, a group of volunteers planted plants in all sizes of planters and pots and anything that they could get their hands on, old cattle tubs and everything. And they put them all over the community, and people donated the vegetables they grew right back to our own local food distribution system. And I know that not only do we help feed each other that way, but it gives us an opportunity for more food-related businesses, more food-related entrepreneurs to happen, as well as for all of us to share our cultures together, because nothing brings us together like food. So I really feel that food builds community. So I'm really glad you shared that program.
That's great. Sharing a meal together is something that we should probably do a little bit more often. It's always easier in a rural community because you know your neighbors. I don't think people in big cities get that luxury of feeling comfortable around everybody that lives around them. Next up, we have a winner. It's Lori from North Dakota. Congratulations, Lori. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be a winner. But I wanted to comment on, and I know somebody already did, on the volunteerism that it takes in a small rural community, but not only on the volunteerism side, but the creativity of your businesses and bringing new businesses to town and bringing the people in to support these businesses. But I think our community has gone one step beyond, and while we live on a big lake and have that summer tourism draw, we have a big winter draw too. We do a 7-day festival, kind of an English Dickens Village Festival, and it starts on Thanksgiving weekend and runs 3 consecutive weekends, and it's so neat to see faces from all over the state come and support our small community. And I think the volunteers behind not only that festival, but our community as a whole have really made our community grow. We're only about 1,500 people without our summer population here. We're a little more in the summer, but I just think, hats off to those that do take the time and effort to volunteer to make our community great.
Absolutely. I have actually heard of that Dickens Festival, so I know how wonderful it is. And this is, I tell you, the holidays and festivals bring out some of the biggest creativity in our rural communities. I know in Timberville, Virginia, there is a wonderful group that put on, they used sheds, actual like you would put in your backyard garden shed, and they used those to put little tiny businesses in. They put them together in a little row. They put Christmas lights on them, and they used that as a way to have little pop-up businesses that helped add all of the same kind of atmosphere that you were talking about in your little Dickens festival there in North Dakota. So people love to bring out their creativity around the holidays, and I love to see the things that we come up with. They can be magical and they can create possibility, but they don't have to be permanent to really show what your town is capable of.
Thank you so much for that call, Lori. Congratulations as well. Our next caller is Robin of Kansas. Thanks for joining the conversation. Robin, go right ahead.
Hey, how are you this evening? I was just calling to say what a heck of a year we had. I mean, I'm glad it's over. I'm sure there are a lot of other people. And what things that will get people, get the small towns working again, getting back to playing for our kids. Our kids have missed a year of school, of being in their school, and it's time to get things back to what is called a normal. I guess normal is relative, I guess. But I think that it's just a very good idea to create little happenings, little gatherings, out here for the young, the old, mom and dad. Let's get back to where we were as close as we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that suggestion, because it really brings to mind a great story out of South Dakota. There is a town called Mitchell, where there's a group of young people who are high school students that they have taken this question of there's nothing to do here and decided they will create their own things of something to do. And one of those ideas was that they should create an indoor movie theater. Now, this is a town of 1,500 people, so they don't, this is a really large idea. And what they did was they created a temporary movie theater. That was something they could accomplish. They borrowed an auditorium. They talked to someone who was running a theater that could help them with doing it legally, showing films, all the work that they needed to do with projection. And they did this as an activity and an experience for the grade school kids in town, so that those kids had the experience of an indoor movie theater that those kids in high school had missed out on. And I thought, what a great solution to there's nothing to do here is ask the kids themselves and help and support them, even when they bring up an audaciously large goal like an indoor movie theater. They may come up with a creative way to make it happen. So don't tell them no, tell them, let's try it, let's test it.
I love that. And let us know what's on your wish list for your small town. What would make you more inclined to stay in your small town and the generations to come as well? Maybe it's a movie theater. Maybe it's an additional grocery store or a bigger grocery store. You let us know what's important to you so that we can help invest in these small towns. That's what we're talking about tonight. AARP.org/AARP Live also has a wealth of resources for you to check out. All right, we're going to pause for a quick break, but we still have 2 Yeti coolers to give away, along with 2 autographed copies of the new album from the Oak Ridge Boys. And you could be a winner tonight. 877-283-7570 is the number to call. Let us know about your rural lifestyle and what you love about living in rural America. And on the flip side, what are some of the challenges of rural living? We want to hear your perspective tonight. Give us a call and share yours, 877-283-7570. And good luck, just 2 opportunities to win. Hope it's you. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Joe Bonzel with the Oak Ridge Boys. Got a minute to talk about 3 words to keep you protected from scammers? The AARP Fraud Watch Network is dedicated to providing people with simple tips to keep them safe from scammers. In 2021, we have 3 simple words for you: stop, think, and verify. When you get an unexpected offer or alarming news over the phone or other device, stop and ask yourself, is this for real? Next, think about the content of the message. Is it too good to be true? Do you have to act now? Is there a threat involved? If the answer is yes, you should end contact. If you're concerned that the communication may have been valid, then independently verify it. For example, if the caller claimed to be with the government, look up that agency's phone number without always relying on a web search, because that can steer you in a wrong direction. Call that number and inquire if there's an issue. Be a fraud fighter. If you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. Visit the AARP Fraud Watch Network at www.aarp.org/FraudWatchNetwork or call the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline at 1-877-908-3360 to report a scam or to get help if you have fallen victim. Thank you.
You, Joe Bonzo. We love hearing that. And like he said, if you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. And that's one of the great things that AARP does. They work to fight fraud. People coming after your hard-earned money. Welcome back. We are continuing to celebrate America's small towns, and we want to hear from you as we continue to discuss ways to make them even better. 877-283-7570 is the number to call and join our conversation tonight. We have callers waiting, and we still have 2 Yeti coolers to give away, coupled with 2 Oak Ridge Boys albums signed by Joe Bonzel and the rest of the boys. So let's go straight to the phones. Next up, Darlene from South Carolina joins us. Go right ahead, Darlene.
Yes, we stay in a small town in North South Carolina. It's got 2 stores, 3 gas stations, and a drugstore, and 1 red light. We have no internet whatsoever, and we stay like 3 miles from it. Hello? Hey.
Yeah, thank you for that, Darlene. Becky, is that something that you hear about in these rural communities, that they just don't have internet access whatsoever?
We don't hear very many that have none whatsoever, but we definitely hear about it when they have bad internet. And then some of the most frustrating things are where we hear that an internet provider comes all the way out to some dividing line that makes sense to them, and then that's where they stop. And so people live 1 pole away from internet service, or they are just 3 houses from being able to have service, or they're just simply on the wrong side of the road and a provider will not come out to them. That is so frustrating. And the number one thing that we hear from people when they are dealing with internet issues is the absolute powerless feeling that we feel like no matter what we say or do, those providers won't come to us and they won't change or they won't improve their service. We feel like they're large, anonymous organizations that we can't make a difference in. So at this point, I would just encourage everyone, first of all, take advantage of the resource, that emergency broadband service, that's a benefit that's available right now, because that can help you pay for a little better service. And that more people paying may help entice folks out, get those providers to come to you. And then the second thing is, ask around, find people who are currently taking action and currently doing the hard work of getting rules changed, getting legislation changed, or giving incentives to bring those providers to you, because there's more funding available right now than has ever been available before for broadband, I think. So this is a big opportunity to be leaning on those providers to make big changes in what they're doing. So don't feel like you're powerless. Now's a great time to take action together.
Yeah, and if you want to find out about some of the resources available, all you have to do is go to aarp.org/AARP Live. They have organized everything, made it really easy for you to link right up to the information that you're looking for. Okay, our next caller is a winner. First, though, I want to make sure that you have a chance to win. I want to give you the number. It's 877-283-7570, because after Verna of Iowa, we still have 1 more Yeti cooler to give away tonight, coupled with that album from the Oak Ridge Boys. So Verna, congratulations. Thanks for joining us. Go right ahead. First, though, I want to
make sure that you have a chance to win. I want to give you the number. It's 877-283.
I think Verna
Am
might
I
have
talking to you now?
Yeah, you sure are. Go right ahead, Verna.
Well, I'm from a little rural town of Walcott, Iowa, and I am 96 years old. We have the best medics around. Then they are also our firefighters. I've had to have them already because I've fallen, so I know how good they are.
Yeah, you sure are. Go right ahead, Verna.
Well, God bless you.
Hello.
96 years young, Verna. You sound sharp as they get. We appreciate you calling in so much. And God bless the firefighter volunteers who came to help you. Becky, you were talking about this a little bit earlier on, how important those volunteers are.
You know, I used to be the city administrator for the small town of Winoka, Oklahoma, which was a population of, at that time, 993 people. And we had 20 plus people on our volunteer rolls for our firefighters and EMS people. They were key for our community because in a town of that size, in a county as sparse as ours is in Northwest Oklahoma, it is really hard to rely on anyone from outside our community to come in and help us with anything. And we had a large tourist draw there. So there's a state park that has an ATV recreation area. And so there were some serious accidents. And we really required a lot from our emergency medical staff. And so, and I say staff, when they were primarily volunteers, they got very little in the way of payment. So these are people that enable us to continue to have our rural communities and to be able to have wonderful folks like Verna can stay and live in their communities well into their 90s.
Yeah, now Verna gets to enjoy not only that Yeti cooler, but also that vinyl album Front Porch Swingin'. Swingin', not swinging. Swingin' from the Oak Ridge Boys. So congratulations, and thank you so much for calling and sharing your story. I want to give you an opportunity to be a winner, 877-283-7570. Up next is Jenny from Arizona. Thanks for joining us, Jenny. Go right ahead.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hello?
Hi there. We're glad you're joining us tonight.
I am so happy that you got my call because I think I was the winner when they said Jenny from Arkansas because somebody put in the wrong state. And I was not able to, I didn't think it was me, and I had you on speaker. And then after you said, hello, Jenny, and I said, hello. And then that's when you said, oh, we must be having some problems with the internet or communications. So I called again.
Well, we're glad you did. Go right ahead. What did you want to share with us?
I'm not a winner, though, am I?
Well, you know, I wish I could make that decision, but
Okay, I didn't hear the first part. So I used to live in a small town, but I am not now, but I am enjoying your program, and I just want to say I really appreciate all the callers and the two hosts that you have. I'm learning a lot because eventually when I retire, in about a year or two, my husband and I want to move to a small town. But I think just the important things that matter to me, along with a lot of other people that have stated, good medical facilities and arts and theater, and of course, above all, community spirit. Sharing is caring. That's how I think, and just activities and people just coming together as a community. And we used to live in a small town in California, and I miss that. So I am now in a city of like a million. But my heart belongs to a small town, and I just really appreciate your program. I was channel surfing, and I ran across it, and I said, oh, this looks interesting. So I am glad that you're on, and I found out that you're on every month, so I'm going to tune in more.
Great. That's great.
We have not talked enough about the arts in rural communities. They play such a huge role. We have so many of our traditional crafts, the things that we do and kind of take for granted. We have wonderful arts and performers, music, and the food that we all know how to share and love. Just everything about the visual arts, and it's an underappreciated asset for our rural communities. I know that Sean listed earlier some of our rural assets and those are all borne out on our survey, and the asset that is our arts is something that we just simply don't talk about enough.
And Jenny, thanks. We're so glad you found us. We know a lot of people from big cities are watching, and thank you. We appreciate you being a part of this conversation. Next up is Gigi from North Carolina, and she is our final winner of the night. Congratulations, Gigi. Go right ahead.
Hi there. I was calling to just give a big shout out to my community. One event that we have each year, and it's been going on for the last 24 years since 1996, we have what we call Claremont Days. That's spelled D-A-Z-E. And this is just in the first weekend in October, we have a couple of days of just fun, live music, food, just great fellowship. The whole main street's blocked off. The children just really have a blast. Our church, we host a stage for some of the main performers, and it's just a great time with everybody for the fellowship time. But I do have a question. If you could help me, how would you recommend, and would there be resources to start some type of a farming program for young high school students? With COVID, you can't go into the school system. Is there any resources, or what suggestions could you help me to get a program started for young adults to learn about farming? Because we do have a lot of farmers in this community. My husband and his older brother are big farmers, and there's just a need for, to get back to the basics for teaching them about the land and taking care of the land, and wanting to take care of that, so we're not having so much industry coming into the town for that revenue. I realize we need that, but we need the farmers too.
You're so right. I believe what you're looking for is the local farm bureau. You find your closest local farm bureau, and they will be able to help you. And if you can't find anybody local, go right to the state of North Carolina's farm bureau, and they will be able to help you.
Your extension, and I'll point you to Castle Rock with America in Bloom's, Castle Rock, Washington. All right, we all squeezed it in there.
Yeah, see that? We all were thinking, I like that. At least we sent her to the right place. And thank you, Gigi. Congratulations. Hopefully you'll hear back from your local Farm Bureau extension as soon as possible. All right, we really appreciate you being with us tonight. We had a lot of great calls. We're so grateful for you for watching and joining us. That's it for us tonight. AARP, they will be back with us on July 15th. We're going to have a Social Security expert join us to answer all of your questions, so get them ready, write them down, and get this number as well, 877-283-7570. That way, you have an upper hand on being a winner for next month's giveaway. Every third Thursday of the month, we're here for you, wishing you and your family a beautifully blessed night, and that goes for your small town and big city as well.